this graft is called a saddle graft. And on the same rootstock, this is a St. Julian rootstock again, and here we have a plum. And this one here is about the same thickness as this main trunk of the rootstock. And so we're going to try to do a saddle graft onto there with this one. And then on the same tree, ideally if it works, I want to take this cherry variety and graft it onto this side branch here. And it's also about the same size. So on this one I'll probably just go ahead and do a whip graft. And then I'll do a saddle graft on the main trunk. So let's get started here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the main trunk here. So I've got that. And to do a saddle graft, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut a wedge onto both sides of the rootstock. So I'll probably do it from here and from this side and this side. And then you cut I guess it's maybe called basically a inverted wedge or something on both sides of this inward, and then you just sandwich it around the other wedge. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut this where it starts going straight. Let's make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to cut off this part. So I need to go inward at sort of an angle. And then I'll start doing it from the other side as well. Okay, I'm just working it all the way down until they meet, and a wedge will fall out of it, hopefully. This is probably why I haven't seen many of these done online, because it's really hard to work that wedge out of there. But I got it. So now let's get the wedge on the rootstock. I'm not liking the way that looks. If you look at it, it looks like dead wood right there. So I'm going to try to go a little bit lower here. Cut that off. Okay. It's ready to go. Turn this around. Ah, there we go. That is pretty much a perfect union right there. Okay, so let's tape that up. It was really hard to work that wedge into there, but I think this is going to have a good chance because we've got a lot of the cambium on both sides of this. Okay, so let's start working on the other one. Alright, again, on this other branch right here, I'm going to try to get a cherry to grow on it. So on the same tree, I'm gonna have two main trunks that I'm gonna allow to grow up, hopefully. And one's gonna be a plum, and one's gonna be a cherry. So a little bit of a Frankenstein tree. And I'm gonna try to match up the thicknesses here. Looks like our scion is about the same thickness. So we'll cut it right above this bud here. This one doesn't seem to have a lot of good viable buds on it, but we'll preserve these three of them. Actually, they look okay. So let's go ahead and we're gonna do the whip graft on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my angled slice off of the scion. Okay, and the angled cut off of the rootstock. Looks pretty good. Maybe I need to do it a little bit deeper. Okay, then we'll do our whip, our tongue. Same thing on the rootstock. And we'll mate those together. Now look at that, that's just beautiful right there. They made it up pretty much perfectly. Okay, get some more of this tape. Again, this is just some splicing tape that I picked up at the hardware store. And I like it because it stretches a little bit. It's not actually sticky at all. It just sticks to itself when it's being stretched like that. Some people say they have a lower success rate from what I've seen online when they plant the rootstocks directly in the ground, so they plant them in pots. But I didn't want to go through the transplant process. If it works, then great. If not, maybe the rootstock will still be viable and I can have a second chance at it next year, or later in the summer I can try a budding graft or something like that. There's the two grafts on there. Last thing to do is cut off the top here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 buds on this one, and I'll cut it just above that. And cherry I'll leave pretty much how it is. And then I'll go ahead and seal this up with my pruning seal. Here we are for the 1 month follow-up on the third graft that we did. We did 2 saddle grafts onto this one rootstock, one on each branch. And as you can tell, the cherry graft that we did on this side branch is actually starting to come alive really well. We've got some nice growth on it where the buds are starting to open up. And then this other one that was a plum, there's no real evidence that that's alive at all. The buds aren't starting to swell or anything like that. So we'll give it another month. We might Well, I might end up just having to abandon that one, cut it off, and just let that cherry tree grow, since it seems to be doing real nice and well. We'll see. We'll come back in another month and look at it again. Here we are for the 3-month follow-up for our third graft that we attempted. This is where we did the saddle graft for this plum variety over here, and we did a whip graft for the cherry variety, and you can see the cherry is growing very, very nicely. It's got 3 of its buds took off and produced really nice branches there, and this plum is also taking off, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and let both of them grow, so that's why I put these bamboo stakes in for them to both grow up straight from it. I'm not sure if the rootstock can handle both of them, but I'm gonna try. And this is kind of proof that a cherry can do just fine on St. Julian A rootstock, where I read a few things that said maybe it wouldn't be totally compatible, but this cherry seems to be doing just fine.